Welcome once again to 26 North Halsted. I'm your host, George Blaze. May 1st is globally recognized as International Workers' Day. It's a day to commemorate events in 1886 that took place not far from this building that we're taping at today, the Haymarket Riot or the Haymarket Affair. Today's program, we're going to discuss what led up to this moment in history, the issues involved with labor rights and workers' rights, as well as its impact on future events in labor in Chicago, nationally and globally, as well as perhaps some perspectives on issues dealing with labor in the modern day. Joining me now is William Adelman, who is Professor Emeritus of the Institute of Labor and Industrial Relations at U of I. Thank you for joining us, Bill.
Right. Glad to be here.
Bill, I've seen you do presentations just about the Haymarket Riot that were in depth and went on for a long time. We have a half hour here today, so I hope we can get out enough. But you know, the week this show airs, we are talking about this time of year. Paint a picture for our viewers here of Chicago, 1886, leading up to this event.
Well, the issue of Haymarket, of course, was the 8-hour day. And before the Civil War, if you worked 12 hours, which was maybe 12, 14 hours a week, a day, you know, and the problem then was that if you worked 12 hours, 6 hours went to your wages, the other 6 was profit for your boss. And that's the way it was before the Civil War. Then after the Civil War, or during the Civil War, they had mass-produced guns, shoes, uniforms. The new mass production methods were applied after the Civil War to other industries. So now, and this was very true in Chicago, suddenly now you are working 10 hours, and that 10 hours goes totally to your boss, and you're only getting the 2 hours in actual wages and salary. And and a third of the population was unemployed. Between 1873 and 1879, we had a depression that many historians believe was even greater than the depression of the 1930s. And so the argument was that if we could redistribute the wealth, if workers worked 8 hours instead of 2 shifts of 12, 3 shifts of 8, the third of the population that was unemployed would then have employment.
Because you're actually making more room in the workday
right,
for more people to come work.
And the wages would go up. That you'd get more money indirectly through that. And now, if you were a worker in New York or Boston, there was always a new boat coming in with immigrants. And so workers that were on the East Coast would come to Chicago. And when they got here, they found, again, they were being discriminated against. And when they got here, they weren't going to switch. They weren't going to move on.
Okay.
They were going to fight. So there was a militancy here that you didn't have in other parts of the country. And by 1886, 25% of all organized labor in the United States was in Chicago.
It certainly has to do with geographically Chicago being a hub for the country at that point.
Right, and you had the Pullman Works at this time, 5,000 employees. You had McCormick Reaper, 5,000 employees. So 2 of the biggest companies in the country were in the Chicago area. And workers felt that they should get decent wages.
Let's talk a little bit about the McCormick Reaper. I mean, because that's kind of where this begins.
That's what ties it
all together.
Right.
Many people are familiar with the McCormick name. There's so many great places here in Chicago named after it. Let's talk about McCormick Reaper.
Well, of course, it was roughly at Blue Island and Western.
Okay.
And the workers there, what is now the Pilsen neighborhood, was really formed around where the Reaper plant was. And it was a very prosperous company. And the workers there were being discriminated against under old McCormick. He was sort of a rags to riches. You read the Cyrus #1.
Okay.
And he'd gone from rags to riches. The trouble was that when he died in 1884, his son, who was only 25, 26, came to take over the plant. And he immediately began to try to destroy the union, which was the Iron Molders Union, a predecessor of the steelworkers. And of course, that was something was angering a lot of the workers in the city. Now, you have to go back to another event that happened in Chicago. In the fall of 1884, the organization called FOOTLU, the Federation of Organized Trades and Labor Unions, met in Chicago, It was a small convention, only about 35 people, at Adams and LaSalle,
Okay.
right in the heart, right across from the Rookery building. And they passed two resolutions. One resolution was that in September of 1885, they wanted the governor to recognize Labor Day, and because there'd been a big march in New York in '84, and so in '82. So in '84, they wanted to have it a national holiday. The second thing that they recommended was that beginning on May 1, 1886, everybody in the United States, all the workers, should march for the 8-hour day.
Okay.
And that sets the scene because they want to get rid of that 12-hour day. They want to get that 8-hour day.
And this is one of the first times you have many different unions, many different
Getting
labor
together.
organizations getting together. Actually,
Well, the Knights of Labor didn't want it.
Let's take a short
Yeah.
break. Actually, we're going to take a short break. The momentum is building, the tension's building. When we come back, we'll talk about the events of May 1886.